Welcome to the Best of Success podcast. My name is Patricia Soto Servin. I'm an editor with Roofing Contractor y Techos y Más. And today I spoke with Marco Sierra from the Sierra Group about financial excellence. So, Marcos, can you please explain to us what are some of the biggest challenges that contractors face while they're dealing with their financials?
I like to call that financial excellence. That's one of the biggest gaps, unfortunately, that happens in all trades, especially when it comes to roofing contractors. Running an accrued based accounting system versus a cash basis is very, very different. So when we're doing a cash flow, job costing, profitability, budgeting, financial discipline, or even an enterprise value, and trying to project for growth, yeah, it all starts with one of the things that the very basic things, P&L, a profit and loss, along with a few others, right? The balance sheet and the cash flow analysis. But it's having a true financial excellence across the board and having those metrics to have a complete pulse, whether it's even if it's weekly, all the way down to daily, and having those dashboards not only see you on a daily basis, but actually getting to know what it means.
If you could tell contractors, these three, four things that in your experience are things that they should know, keep an eye on while they're looking at their P&L and tell us what those things are.
Well, one for sure is the revenue. Are we having revenue coming in? Two, the profitability at the end of the day. What are you actually keeping when it's all said and done? Those are the main two things that we focus on. And then obviously when it comes to the expenses, I mean, well, how are we projecting and how does that tie into our accounts receivable or accounts payable, our true cash flow analysis? A lot of the times what's in the balance sheet has to be reflective how it affects your P&L. So even though a lot of the times we're only talking about the P&L, there's other reports that are absolutely vital to make sure that we're getting a true pulse. And I always give the analogy is that whenever we go get a vital, right, and we have a headache or a migraine or maybe a fever, one of the things that I appreciate whenever you go to the doctor is you're getting your whole vitals checked, right? Your heartbeat, what is your temperature like? Now you're discovering and asking questions to get a true pulse as to what's going on with you prior to coming to a diagnosis. So that's in essence how the analogy that we use to know how the business is going. Okay. And there's many individuals that might look healthy, but are not. So that's where the blood work comes in. That's where those vitals comes in. And that's where we're digging and looking at to make sure that we have a healthy business that's running and not just surviving.
How can contractors get a grasp of this? If they're starting their business, if they want to increase their revenue and, like you said, become excellent with their finances, where can they learn all these stuff?
That's probably the biggest challenge question, right? Many contractors come from either two of various departments whenever it comes to running a business. One, either come from sales, so they focus strictly on sales, or they come from the production and focus strictly on production. Managing a business is managing way over that. So there's accounting, there's marketing, production, there's sales, of course, and then you have the ability to be able to manage all of them within your office. So one, it's understanding that it's way more than sales, way more than production. It's way more than marketing, right? And having a true accounting team is absolutely vital. One of the things that I mentioned, similar to doctors, not every doctor is a good doctor. Well, not every accountant is a great accountant. So choosing the right accountant that focuses on accrued accounting basis is one. Making sure that they deal with in the construction basis is another. Checking the references to make sure that they're individuals that have dealt with the type of contractors that are in the revenue base of the company for which we represent, whether it's a startup to a $3 million a year business, a 3 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 plus. Each one of those requires different specialties. So that's one. having a great financial team, including your accountant, your bookkeeper, and I really, really preach the following: having a tax attorney that is able to properly set up your company to make sure you have the right parameters to protect you as well.
And how involved should a contractor be in these teams? Because like you mentioned it yourself, sometimes, we don't know about that other area, right? Or what would you recommend, to the business owners, the contractors, when they are trying to get a team of accountants? How can they keep an eye on these stuff? Also, get involved in the whole process.
It's like going to the doctor and not wanting to be a part of the meetings or the decision making on what's going to happen to your body. Right? It's that's how important it is to be able to be a part and intrigued in those meetings and those decision makings and also building the team together. So when it comes to those, this is what we do and what we preach is, one, we have to sometimes learn French, right? Learn the accounting jargon. And that takes a dual type of mentality that we're going to go out. It's a different mentality. It's a different language. Okay, forecasting. What does that mean? All right, somebody's talking about budgeting, CapEx, enterprise value, job costing, cash flow. Okay, what is that? What do those terms mean, and how does that affect us? I always say the following, whenever my wife and I say we were pregnant, even though my wife was the one carrying our child, I had to go out there and learn a lot of jargon that was medical. So that way I wasn't lost when it came time for us to be able to have our child. In the same way, it's learning the jargon. One, two, it is a lot of boring work if we don't take into consideration the fact that, hey, this is extremely important. And it's vital for the value of the business and for the benefit of everybody that works underneath that business. And then lastly, the outcome, right? We like to say we want to be somewhere between 60 and 70% proficient in something, so that we don't pay what a good friend of ours calls it the ignorant tax, where, oh man, I didn't know. Well, I enjoy reading law, and it says ignorance is not an excuse for not knowing. And so it's I love that because it shows us that once you have an enterprise, once you have a business, you are responsible for what's underneath that umbrella, and the financial responsibility relies on you.
And do you have a quick story that you could share with us, Marcos, on a mistake that you made and that you want to share regarding your financials that could really make an impact on all the contractors listening?
Absolutely. I'll start with I can give you a laundry list when it comes to financials. First of all, it's one, over trusting the fact that somebody had a financial title, that they were an expert. So assuming that because an accountant had been in business for 30 years, 20 years, they were an expert in what I needed. That's one. We've been through 4 different accountants, and now we finally found the one. Why? Because it took us 3 tries for us to understand that at the end of the day, accountants are also like contractors. We also got to vet them, check the references, and make sure that they know how to do the type of work that we need. So it took 3 different tries since we got the right one. That's the ignorant tax. That's one. 2. Oh, and before I jump further, the cost of moving one accountant to the other is absolutely atrocious. Not only for the financial cost, but the time to be able to migrate and be able to set it up all over again. So that's one. 2, whenever you don't have your proper structures for even whenever it comes to projecting or paying your quarterlies and getting ahead of making sure that you pay Caesar what you owe to Caesar, that could also hurt you financially, especially for us in the beginning. We didn't know that. Again, the ignorant tax. So we're over here counting our pennies thinking, all right, we didn't have such a bad year. And then, oh, by the way, you got to pay this because you haven't paid anything at the end of the year. It's those things that whenever we started, we just didn't know. And it goes back to ignorance. But you cannot write a check of IOU to the IRS and say, hey, I didn't know, I'm sorry. And so those are some things that almost put us out at the beginning. And then also, if I can add, not going out and asking others for help. So not going to the individuals that are at a higher step and realizing that a lot of individuals in this industry are willing to help, are willing to be able to tell you, yep, I've been through there. Let me help you and show you what I did to be able to make sure I get out of there. So those are some three major failures that I did financially when we were getting started. And I could add so many more.
So, Marcos, what would you say are the top 2 questions that everybody should ask their accountant now?
Absolutely. One, do you focus on cash basis or accrual basis? That's number one. The answer should be accrual. If an accountant is pushing you to be able to be a cash basis in the construction business, especially roofing, run and make sure you tell everybody to run away from that person or that firm. 2, can you give me a list of 3 contractors like myself for which you're helping? I would like to make sure that I make sure that I vet that you are given the services that I need. Same way, they're contractors as well. And make sure you do your due diligence to make sure that they offer you the services that you are requesting. Similar to contractors, there's a lot of accounting firms, and I can go into attorneys as well, that are going to promise you, oh yeah, they know how to do X, Y, Z. And when it comes time to doing it, they really don't have the ability to. So it's vetting them. Those are the 2 questions that I'll ask.
If you have any comments or questions regarding today's topic, make sure to follow us on social media. You can reach out to us through Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Now we have a TikTok account, so make sure that you follow us there too. And if you want to keep up with the latest in the roofing industry, you can subscribe to all our newsletters, whether it's in English or in Spanish, and make sure to read our content in roofingcontractor.com. So thank you for listening and see you next time.